Okay, guys. To the guys of the web, am I audible? Over here. Now? Am I audible now? To the last row. Yes. Okay. Yeah, there was slight delay. Sorry for that. Okay. So yesterday, what is that we have found out? We have said that Docker is a container. A container is an isolated area for execution. What is an isolated area? Every application will get whatever it requires for it to run. All right. So is container equivalent to operating system? Definitely not. Okay, it is a very lean stuff. Okay, then how will it work? Because our focus is not OS, our focus is application, right? If you are the other major advantage, which I said that I would be discussing something called as microservices today, right? Let me demonstrate about it, and then we can realize some of the advantages with this container technology. All right? Okay. Uh, yeah, it is tomorrow, by the way. If it is Ramzan, there was no class, right? So yeah, fine. Thanks anyway. Okay, fine. Now let us assume that I am building the application which you are building is insurance application. Okay, customers basically there are three major operations. One, they purchase insurances. Other, they get the online quotes. Okay, the third one is renewal stuff. Third one is renewal stuff and general insurance operations. Employees will log in and all the other stuff. So our application is okay insurance, and I'm speaking about general insurances, right? Vehicle, basic health insurance, term policies, and all of that. Okay, so this is what our company is developing. All right. Okay, now all of our IT engineers, when they do insurances, march to avoid taxes. Till then, you generally don't do. So all the insurance sites will have hell lot of traffic in March. All right. Now this is my server. I'm not speaking about container. I'm speaking about a general application. This is my server, and in this server I have an application which is insurance management system, right? And then I have one more database over here, right? And obviously insurance is a web application, and any application, let it be web or any server, will always have one threshold point which they call it as concurrency limit or max user limit, whatever you call it. So how many users can log into my system at a given time? All right. So let us assume it is 5,000. But during March, our normal traffic is 20,000. How do I solve that now? If I put only this server for 15,000 customers, my site will not be able to deliver insurances because they will be getting an error message saying that response has been timed out. Right? Or your request has been timed out, not response. Your request has been timed out. Right? So how will I solve this? I cannot, increasing the CPU of the memory will not solve my problem. Right? So the other best option is you would basically put in some additional servers to do the job. Yes, right? And whenever you put additional servers, there will be one problem that will arise. Every server will have its own domain name and IP address, right? So how will I access? Will I say google1.com and google2.com? No, right? I want to access with the same stuff. So that's why what I would do is generally I'll put something called as either a reverse proxy or load balancer in the top, right? And the user will make a request to this load balancer, and then this load balancer will forward the calls to one of your servers. For 20,000 users, we will have 4. I've just drawn 2, right? This is what we do. Okay, but now this is the best solution. There is no doubt about it. It is doing good. All right. But how many we have? 2 servers or 4 servers plus 5, 1 database and 1 load balancer. Total 6. Wonderful. How much of the resources are we using actually? How many of these resources are we using actually? No. And each server is a beast here. I'm speaking about really very performant servers, right? So can we optimize this? Can we optimize this? This was a question, right? And I'm not sure if you know about a guy called as Martin Fowler. How many of you have heard about him? How many of you have heard words called as continuous integration, continuous deployment, and all of that? Those were all from the papers of Martin Fowler. The name of that continuous integration. By the way, he is CTO of ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks and a company pair vinnare. That was a company which has started Selenium actually, who has started working on Selenium. Okay, they are the creators of Selenium to start with, right? So they are very technically competent people, and especially this guy is very well known for his architectural patterns which he comes across. He suddenly comes and tells that why don't we use microservices? Till that point, there was no definition called as a microservice. The only thing which we know was web service, web application. That's it. But he comes across a terminology where he calls as microservice. Now people are going towards nano services also, right? I'll tell what would be done. Now here we have a whole application, right? And we have increased the scale of our applications. Problem solved. Now what Martin Fowler tells is, you have this application, okay, insurance application. Break this application into smaller self-executable services. Break this application into smaller self-executable services. So the complete insurance management system, IMS, okay, might be broken down into smaller services like registration, identity. When I write identity, I'm speaking about logins, identity and access control. All right. Okay. I am writing SQ by SQ, I mean sample codes. All right. And orders. Orders is for the people who are purchasing insurances. And there will be many more. So basically, what you are trying to do, you are trying to break down your large application into smaller pieces. And each piece can execute on its own. Okay. And whenever, for example, you want to purchase an order, okay, to purchase an order you should be logged in. Now the registration service will go and speak with the identity service, is this user logged in? Okay, so these services might speak within themselves. All right, now breaking your application into smaller self-executable services, applications services, all right, that is a microservice. And each service might communicate to the other service using HTTP or TCP, whatever it is, using the standard communication protocols. This is a microservice. This is a microservice. Now, on March 31st, what would happen largely? Okay, let me add some more services. I'd be putting something as BI. BI is, once you do your sales, the insurance company will look at what are the different revenues which they have got, all of that. All right. And probably admin services. Right. So I've broken down a large application into smaller 6 services which can run on their own. I'll tell you 2 advantages. The first one is, tomorrow this insurance company is starting, right? One more application, right? Which is about personal finance management. For the people who don't know what a personal finance is, I'm just telling you out. For example, if you go to the personal finance advisor and say that I have 1 lakh where to invest, that guy will give you some hints based out of your risk appetite. మీకు high risk profile లేదంటే low risk profile అని he will give you some investment suggestions. So this company is doing that. And now if my application is like this, I'll be using the same registration service. There is no need for me to build the registration again. I have a registration service already. Registration service, identity service, right? And then any service which a smaller service I can reuse in other applications also. So you don't need to write a lot of code, plumbing code. Okay, you can directly use live services. For example, if you see nowadays, you have an Amazon account and you can log in using Amazon account into Kindle, into Audible, into Prime Video, many other things, right? Because they have one shared authentication service. They have one shared authentication service. They don't write authentication service for every application. They reuse it. The same thing is login with Facebook. Yeah, it uses OAuth protocol, but all of that is because they are reusing the existing services. In the earlier cases, what used to happen architecturally was we used to reuse the code, not the application which is executing. అంటే ఇంతకు ముందు డిజైన్ ఎలా ఉందంటే నువ్వు రాసిన కోడ్ చాలా సార్లు ఉపయోగపడాలంట. Reusable code was the concept. But now companies are looking at reusable services rather than reusable code, because there is no need for you to write it. You can just rely on that. Okay, that's the whole pattern. Now if I want to build application, I can reuse some of the existing microservices which are running. My problem would be solved. That's the whole point. Now let me come to this March scenario. In March there will be a lot of load will be on what? Let us assume load will be too much on the complete application or only some areas of the application. But earlier, what is that we were trying to do? We were trying to scale the complete application. Yes, right? Actually, order service had a lot of demand, but we have added one more server, and with this server everything is scaled. But now let us see what will I do. I'll take one physical server, one huge server, right? And let us assume on this server I am running all of these services, right? All of the services on this server, using everything is a container now, right? So now orders are to be increased. I don't scale the whole application. Probably if required, I might take another server, but I'm not scaling everything. What I scale is only orders. Are you getting the point? So rather than scaling the complete application, I scale only what is required. Now, is this faster or the earlier approach faster? I needed 2 order services, but actually I have 4 now with almost less compute power, right? So there is no need for me to scale everything. I can scale portions of my applications which are busy. For example, big app sale day. Okay, in Amazon I'll be scaling only the portions of e-commerce which deal with customer sales and all of that. I will not be interested in other services. Other services are normal, they don't have much of a traffic. This is possible. Is this possible with the earlier approach? No. That's the advantage. So microservice is a concept where you break your application into smaller self-executable service. And I am not saying that the microservice is container, but the best way to host your microservice is container. The best way to host your microservice is container. Now let us assume that identity is also required. I'll just scale identity and I'll get one more identity. Okay. And on all of these servers, you will still have load balancer. You will still have the load balancer. But this is advantageous, right? Because I can scale portions of my applications which are very important for executing my business without having any problem. Are we good? Yes. This is what a microservice is. And the best tech, I'm not saying microservice is possible with only with containers. Container is the best way to host microservices. Container is the best way to host microservices. Okay. And now this automatically increasing the numbers and decreasing the numbers of the portions of your application, right? This is being done by orchestration. This is done performed by orchestration. This is where Kubernetes will come into play. But individual application converting into container is the basic work, that is the Docker's job, right? First we have an application, first we need to containerize it. That's the first point. And once we containerize it, we should be in a position to do this. We should be in a position to do this. This is where orchestration comes into play. This is where we use AWS ECS services, Amazon's cluster or Azure's clustering services, or Kubernetes, or Swarm, or Nomad, or OpenShift. Everything is all about this. Each pieces of your application scale up and scale down, and ensuring that it works in multiple machines is an orchestration job. That's what these tools are all about. Making sense? So now, which is better? In the cases of load, you really don't need hefty investment. Really don't need hefty investment, right? You can basically do it multiple containers on a server, and then you can come across with low cost but very high performing application. That's the whole point, right? And remember, mark my words, container technology doesn't look good whenever you look at 2 points. One is whenever you look at the control which you have in your operating system, in the container you will not have that much control. That is for sure. Security principles, can you apply? Definitely you can apply. But are they as fat as what they are on operating system? No. No, they are not as fast as what they are on an operating system, right? One other problem is, whenever you are using only one physical machine to launch 50 containers, it is possible. Okay. Most of the people tried doing that, but that is a single point of failure scenario. What Docker suggests is, rather than taking one huge server, take multiple smaller servers. You really don't need bees, right? 24 GB server manaki avasaram la. You can go with 8 GB and have 3 servers rather, so that you are distributing the load across 3 machines, and even if one machine fails, you still have containers running on the other stuff. Okay, that is how it is basically. And another thing, as I said yesterday, whenever you go with this design, you can take this to any cloud, or I would say take it to anywhere. Take it to anywhere. Your application being deployed into any environment becomes very simple. This is an advantage. Okay, any questions on this architecture? Microservice is nothing but a smaller self-executable service. That's it. Nano service is much smaller service, smaller than microservice. Right? Yeah. We have got a web server to achieve that functionality. How does it differ from? Yeah, web server is, even a microserver is some sort of a web service. But whenever you write a web service, you address large set of functionalities. But in microservice, you just do it for simple stuff: identity, login, logging, right? For example, the other thing is reporting. So you do smaller stuff. Even in the reporting, you can go and drill down further, saying that admin reports could be one service, right? Customer reports could be other service, right? All of this, you make your applications into smaller self-executable stuff. That is a microservice, right? How much smaller is microservice? There is no measure for it. అంటే ఇంతే రాస్తే మైక్రోసర్వీస్ అంటారు, ఇంత కిందకి వెళ్తే నానో సర్వీస్ అంటారు. There is nothing like that, right? So generally a smaller service is something which can run in 512 MB to 1 GB RAM conventionally. Okay, if you look at microservice, a microservice takes 512 to 1 GB of RAM. All right, nano takes 256 MB. All right, 256 MB is like nothing now, but we have services which run like that. right? So that we can increase the numbers whenever they want, right? Okay, let me come back. I think, yeah, Murli, I have answered your question. Microservice definition, I have said it. We are not hearing you. I think that is the problem from your end. I am most hopefully. How does the load balancer will send the load in order to microservices do on the? That is where the orchestration will come into play. That is the Kubernetes headache. That is Kubernetes headache. As on today, you just believe on the technology of Kubernetes, say that it is possible. Right? How we will look at the later point of time. Right? For using containers, we have to change the application into microservices. I'm not saying no. The answer is no. But if it is a microservice, that is the best way to use Docker. You can put your entire application into Docker container also. There is no problem around it. But if you are breaking your application into microservices, that is the way to go ahead. That is the way to go ahead. How Uber Eats is working? Uber Eats, Ola Food, right? These guys don't write the complete application. They just write the ordering menu part. Rest of the things is all reused from the Ola or Uber app, right? This is the same thing. That's why we see applications are these days, they are released to the market very faster. You take any application. The whole point is they are using the services, not code. They are using services, right? Can we upgrade microservices in live environment? Yes. Anything to do with that multiple microservices, you can go with zero downtime using orchestration stuff. Okay. While we discuss about Kubernetes, we discuss about that zero downtime deployments, right? So it is possible. You can upgrade. Can't we use one container for the whole application? You can, but you will lose on the benefits which I have just spoken about. If you don't want to utilize those benefits, absolutely fine. You can go with the complete application in a container, right? Advantages and disadvantages of the microservices. Advantage, I've just said it. You can individually scale your applications. Disadvantages, too much of integration. Okay, you'll have many things to worry about. Okay, in the single application, you have just one machine. Go at that point. If it is working, wonderful. All right, that is a disadvantage. Can Docker be used for Windows OS? Yeah, there are Windows containers. There are Windows containers. Right? Yeah. Or it's our job to break an application? No, that is not your job. That is developer's job, because it is not. It is it for breaking an application into a microservice. There has to be some code that is written. You and me are here not to write the code, but if the code is written, we are here to convert the application. Right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing that. Don't worry about it. Auto scaling, where to do, that is all Kubernetes headache, not our headache as of today. Kubernetes కి చెప్తే అది చేస్తుంది. Kubernetes కి ఎలా చెప్పాలో ఇంకా మనం Kubernetes తో మాట్లాడలా, కలవలా. సో ప్రస్తుతానికి దాని గురించి మర్చిపోండి. రైట్? ఓకే. Can you tell some use cases in the real time how frequently we use Docker in our project? Shiva, I think it is too much early for me to speak about real time on the second day of the Docker class. Please understand the concepts first, right? So if I tell you that this is your second day in your industry, మీరు నేను కార్ షెడ్ లో జాయిన్ అయ్యాం. ఓకే, నిన్నటి వరకు మనం వర్చువల్ స్టీరింగ్ లో ఇచ్చారు. మూడో రోజు కస్టమర్కి ఇచ్చేసి బండి రిపేర్ చేయమంటే చేయగలమా? రైట్? సెకండ్ డే ఇస్ టూ మచ్ ఎర్లీ ఫర్ మీ టు స్పీక్ రియల్ టైమ్ యూస్ కేసెస్. లెట్ us అండర్స్టాండ్ కాన్సెప్ట్. రియల్ టైమ్ అంటే ఎక్కడుండో ఊడి పడదు. From these concepts, you will come across some use cases, some customer scenarios. That's where the real time comes into play. Right? Okay. So for example, if you want a real time use case, Google search is a real time use case. Go to the Google and see how Google search works. That is the best or a most complicated container scenario. Right? Okay. Each microservice is containerized. Yes, that is where we want it to be. That is where we want it to be. Is every application there today? No. Will every application wants to be there? Yes. Every web application wants to be here. Right? Yeah. Can we troubleshoot only the container that is in trouble? Okay. I'll be telling about it. So troubleshooting is of two points over here. If the container dies by any chance, we don't fix it. We just bring up the other container which can do the same job. Okay. But if any container that we are trying to launch is getting killed, then that's a point to worry about. For ad hoc failures, we don't worry about. Right? We don't try to fix the container. But let us assume that you have launched the identity service, and whenever you are starting an identity service, every time it is crashing. Every time it is crashing. Then you will fix it. Some ad hoc failures, what you will do is, I want 2 identity servers to be running. That's what your configuration would be. If one server dies by any chance, Kubernetes brings up one more. Kubernetes brings up one more. That's how we configure it. All right. Okay. Virtualization and containers are same or different? They are not same, right? Virtualization is a very broader area. We have many kinds of virtualizations. You have hardware virtualization, application virtualization, system virtualization, storage virtualization. There are a hell lot of things. But here what we are trying to do is, we are trying to speak about containerization, which is a smaller area of virtualization. They are not same. Yeah. So containerization is a subset of virtualization. That's what you can think of. Right. If any chance 2 containers are crashed, what are we using? We will pray to God. Yeah, on a lighter note. Yeah, we have not gone to a stage where you have written one container, so don't be anxious. Let us wait till that point. Right? ఇంకా మనకి కంటైనర్ డెఫినేషన్ పూర్తిగా అర్థం కాల. 2 కంటైనర్లు ఫెయిల్ అవుతూ ఉండడం ఈజ్ టూ మచ్ ఎర్లీ, రైట్? బట్ there are couple of ways of doing it. What will you do if 2 servers crash? Tell me that. Let us not worry about containers. Your application is running on 2 servers. 2 servers have crashed now. Tell me what you will do. You will bring up the other servers as early as possible, right? So for today my answer is also the same. ఇంకో 2 కంటైనర్లు తీసుకొచ్చే ప్రయత్నంలో మనం ఉంటాం. రైట్? ఓకే. రైట్. Can't we deploy microservice without containerizing? Man, I've been telling this. Please be attentive to my class. I said that microservice doesn't mean that it has to be on the container. It is good that if it is on the container, it uses its best power. That's it. Right? Yeah. Okay then. So this is an advantage, right? So first thing which we need to look at is, how can we get into this world? How can we get into this world, and what are the typical steps how we do it? All right. So today what I do is, let me just first let me preserve this. One moment. Okay. Okay. Non containerized app. Right? Container architecture using microservices, and I will write orchestration. Right? That looks something like this. Okay, good. Now, first thing is, I want to do the following things. I want to see Docker, right, working. For this, what I do is, I would take a Linux machine, install Docker there, right, and run couple of applications. Okay, understand basic commands. So this is what I'm going to do in the next half an hour. Simple. Can't I use Windows? Yes, you can use Windows, but as I said, my focus is completely on Linux for this 2 weeks. Right? So I'm interested in Linux. So how do you get a Linux machine? So for the people who have given mail IDs, I think you should have received a mail where it says how to create an AWS free tier account. I would recommend everyone to create an Amazon, okay, cloud account. You will get 12 months of some services for free, and whatever I am doing right now in the class will be covered in that plan. So you need not shell out any money for this, okay. But when you create an account, the 2 rupees will be cut. There is a, in the blog there is Amazon free tier account creation. You can do that, or you can go to Google and search for it, and you will find a lot of information of how to do that, okay. But remember, don't give SBI cards, right? SBI might not be accepted, and the other banks like Andhra Bank, Lakshmi Vilas, Dhanlakshmi, Amazon doesn't know all of that. Try to give some of the banks which are like ICICI, because these happen very quickly. And if you have Amazon shopping account already, I'm quite sure many of us have, try to create an AWS account with that, so that it is activated faster, because it takes approximately 24 hours, right? And sometimes Amazon might not activate your account, and it might ask you to send your identity details. So please upload whatever Amazon asks, so that your account activation is faster, right? Okay, so what I do is I'd log in into Amazon, and then I'll be creating one Linux machine which is basically free, right? Free for 750 hours in a month. So 750 hours is, if you calculate even on a month of 30 days, it is still 720. సో ఒక మెషిన్ ని నెలంతా ఫ్రీగా వాడుకోవచ్చు మీరు, ఓకే. ఆర్ ద అదర్ వే ఇస్, you just use your machine, kill them or terminate them whenever you are not using, and you can use multiple machines. It is your choice whether you use 1 month for one machine for the complete month every time running, or use your machine, shut it down or terminate it, tomorrow go ahead and create a new machine, because you have 750 hours, okay. And the unit is 1 hour, okay. Now if I, for example, if I say that you have a postpaid plan, right, 750 minutes of calls are free, right? And then basic unit is 1 minute, unit of call is 1 minute. You make a call to your friend, speak for 10 minutes, so 10 is reduced, right? 9.5 minutes, 10 is reduced. Exactly the same way the Amazon works, but here the unit is 1 hour, okay. The total monthly free utilization which you have is 750 hours. So whether you use one machine or whether you use 10 machines for 75 hours, it's both the same. So I would recommend the second approach, because you will be using many machines rather than one machine for the complete month, all right. So man, so just type AWS console in the Google, you'll get this. Once your account is activated, please do log in into this. Oh, I don't want to show how to create an account. I'm quite sure that everyone here knows how to create accounts, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, fine. In this, the service which can give you machines is EC2. Click on EC2. Okay. Click on launch instance. Select this free tier only. All right. And select any operating system which you like. Okay. So I'll be taking Ubuntu, because on Red Hat there are some constraints, okay, of Docker installations. Take Ubuntu. All right. So are you seeing T2 micro free tier eligible? So this is a machine which is free for 750 hours. A machine with 1 GB of RAM and 1 CPU. Right. All the other machines will cost you. Right. And remember, the cost of this is not very much more. So for example, EC2 pricing. All right. Let me show you some of the prices, so that you will come to know how much costly or how much uh, stuff it is. Right, man. Oh boy. Okay, let it open and whatever time it opens. So blindly, there is no need for you to think too much for today. Just click on next. Again next. Next. Here give some name so that you will recognize. This is for you. Okay. Or my first Docker machine, whatever you want to call it. Right. Next. Security group. So this is a firewall. This is a firewall. What would happen is basically here what is the port name which you are seeing? 22. Right? Apart from this, all the ports will be closed by Amazon. Apart from this, all the ports will be closed by Amazon. Now, if you want basically all the ports to be opened or some of the ports to be opened, for example, I want 80 port to be opened. I have to go ahead and add a rule here. Add a rule saying that I'm interested in a TCP port which is 80. All right. And then to whom? 80 port is good. I will open 80 port. But on which IP address? If you are writing all zeros means to everyone. Whatever you are seeing there is all zeros is everyone. Andarki open cheyman. Right? So I'll copy this. This is good while you are practicing. But remember, you will never use all zeros in your company. You are asking for trouble. But since we have nothing to be hacked, అంటే మన సర్వర్లోకి ఎవడన్నా హ్యాకర్ వచ్చినా పెద్దగా చేసేది ఏమీ ఉండదు. ఎందుకంటే మనం ఏం చేయట్లేదు. We are doing some open source installations. Right? But if it is your enterprise application, this is not the case. You will be opening this only to the some specific IP addresses which your company wants to do. Right? But while practicing, it is fine. So I'll do one more thing. Rather than using custom TCP, I will say all TCP. Open all ports. I'm okay with that. Right? Because this is not a very machine which consists of the fancy softwares and all of that. And now I'm giving a name for it, which I would be calling it as Docker. Because tomorrow, if I create another machine, I want to reuse it rather than create it every time. So launch. Yes. Now, generally for machines, what is that we have? Username and password, right? Amazon doesn't use username and passwords by default. It uses username and key, a file, which acts like your password. And that file is nothing but, if you have learned about during your graduation, I'm quite sure that you might have learned or heard about something called as private key and public key. Yes? Yeah? So basically here what is that you are creating is you are creating that private and public key. Public key will be with Amazon and private key will be with you. And whenever you want to log in into your Amazon machine, you have to tell where is your private key. That private key and public key authentication, if it matches, you will be allowed into the system. Otherwise, you will not be. Okay. Can't I use username and passwords? By default, no. But you can go and create usernames and passwords. Once you get into that Linux machine, you can use your Linux skills to use username and password. But by default, the machine images which are shown to you are the username and password based authentication is disabled. You can go and enable it. That's a different story. But by default, all right. So let me go ahead and create a new pair. I'm going to call this key pair as Docker. Download this key. Remember, once you are out of this page, there is no way on earth to create the same private key again. So ఈ ఫైల్ ని జాగ్రత్తగా పెట్టుకోండి. Put this file at a safer place, because if you lose this, there is no way of you getting into the same machine. You have to delete and recreate the new machine with the new key. Okay, and you cannot download that key again. Once you are out of this page, Amazon will not give you an option of downloading this key again. Right? So put it in a safer place. For few days, what you can do is, if you are using multiple machines, put it in Google Drive or OneDrive. Right? If you use one machine, there is no problem. Like what I'm doing over here. My keys will be in downloads folder and I'm okay with it. All right. So I'll click on launch instance. Right. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a Linux machine. Okay. And what is the operating system which I'm using? Windows. From one Windows machine, if I want to log in into other Windows machine, what is that I can use? I can use something like TeamViewer. Okay. Or remote desktop. But the problem is the machine which we have created is a command line version of Linux. It doesn't have UI. So remote desktop ruled out. Right? And what is that you are supposed to use as something called as SSH, secure shell. The problem is, by default in Windows, you are in Windows 7 you get a secure shell with PowerShell, but that doesn't work good. Okay, if you want you can try with default Windows stuff. In Windows 10 it is good, but in Windows 7 it is not that good. So we need a software which helps us in basically getting SSH onto our Windows system. Yes, so there are multiple softwares here, right? You can use Putty, right? But I hate Putty somehow. I use Git Bash. Throughout my class, I'll be using Git Bash. So how do I get Git Bash? Or how do I get any software which I want? Right? One way is go to the Google and search for it. Right? That is a good way, decent way. Right? But I don't want to do that. I want a command line to do the installation for me. So what I'll be doing is I'll be going ahead and installing one software which is Chocolate. Right? The first installation which I'm going to do on my system is Chocolatey. This is required only for Windows users. If you are already a Mac user or a Linux user, and my system ganaka Mac gani Linux gani aithe, you already have something like Chocolatey on your system. In Windows we don't have it, right? So first let us go and search. This is the only place where I'll be basically using something. So Chocolatey. Just Google for this Chocolatey installation. Scroll down. Are you seeing this command? Yes. You don't need to download anything. Just copy this. Click on this copy. Command prompt CMD. Right click and run as administrator. Don't forget to do run as administrator, otherwise it will not work. Okay. Paste this stuff. Click on enter. It will take some time and you will have Chocolatey installed on your machine. You will have Chocolatey installed on your machine. Now, I want, what is the next software which I want? Git Bash. So once you have Chocolatey, there is no need for you to do anything. Just search something like this. Choco Git for Windows. Okay. Okay. On this resolution, it is difficult for me to click that understand button, so I have just reduced it. Are you seeing this command? Choco install Git. Now click on the Windows. Type for something called as PowerShell. Right click. Run it as an administrator. Always remember, installation should be run as an administrator. Right. Now you have to just say Choco install Git. Click on enter. Git will be installed on your machine. Okay. Now let us assume I want to install Putty. I want to install Putty. I will show you how Chocolatey works. I don't want to use Putty, by the way. So what I would do is, what will be the Google now? Choco. Scroll down. What is that you are seeing? Choco install. So I'll just say Choco install. That's it. You don't need to go to the website. Don't need to download any stuff. Just execute this command. Okay. For almost any software which you want, there will be some package over here. All right. So even if you want VLC media player, Choco VLC media player. Try all of your installations, even Google Chrome, Choco Google Chrome. All the installations can be done by one single command line execution. That is far better than going to the website, double click, downloading it, and then doing all of the other steps. So it has done the job for me. Whenever I finish this work, I don't want Putty anymore. I'll just say Choco uninstall. That's it. You don't need to basically do any of the stuff with respect to installation. So this is what I want you to try, not the general installations. Any installation which we want, we will be doing it via Chocolatey on Windows. Okay. For the people who are on Mac or Windows, you already have Homebrew for Mac people, and you already have aptitude or apt-get for Ubuntu users and yum for Red Hat users. So this is like bringing those capabilities onto Windows systems, right? Making sense? Is this simple, or will you like to go to the website, search for it, download, double click, click next, accept the license agreement, and wait till it finishes? You can choose whatever is better for you, but I would like this approach, right? Are we good now? So if you want to Git, how do you install it? Chaco install Git, that's it. Once you have done that, when you right click, you will be seeing these two options: Git GUI here and Git bash here. If you are seeing this, that means that everything has been installed correctly. You click anywhere, you will be seeing that. Right. Now let us go back to our EC2 machine. Click on connect. Select the machine and click on connect. Are you seeing an example over here? This is an SSH command line argument. Okay, I am trying to tell it in a way for the people who even don't know Linux can work on this. Linux తెలియనోళ్ళు కూడా ఈ approach follow అయితే చేయొచ్చు. Right? For the people who already know Linux, I think you are already seeing the command line. Right? So just copy this command, go to the folder where you have your private key, which you have downloaded, PEM file. All right? Right click over there and say git bash here, and paste whatever command which you have copied. Click on enter. Click yes, enter yes. Yeah, you are inside the Linux machine which you have already created. Simple, right? Yeah. So now over here I want to install Docker. I want to install Docker. So there are many ways of installing Docker, but I would try to tell you a most simple way of installing Docker. But remember this, we will not use it in your enterprises, because this, the approach which I am trying to tell you, will always go to the latest version of Docker. In your company there might be saying that I don't want latest version, I want a specific version. అప్పుడు ఇది ఉపయోగపడదు. But for today it's okay. So just Google for something called as get Docker shell. Are you seeing Docker install script? Copy this, the first line which you are seeing over here, first two lines. Copy this, come over here, execute. Simple. I'm just copying and pasting the first two lines which you are seeing in the script. That's it. It will do the installation, because that is a shell script which knows how to install Docker. Okay. Actually, whenever you are doing it manually, whatever the shell script is doing, you have to do execute every command. All right. Simple, right? So even Linux లో కొత్తగా ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి కూడా నేను ఏం చేశాను, Docker shell script అని. I've gone to a website which it says Docker install script. Once it is being done, I have gone to this site and basically executed the top two commands which you are seeing over here. Whatever I've seen, I've just blindly copied. All right. And once I finish the installation, all right, it asks me to do this part. Okay. Don't forget to do this. Just copy this and okay. I will tell you why you need to do that. What is happening? Let me type, man. I think it is much better. Sudo user mod. What is this command for? Adding a user to the group. Okay, adding a user to the group. There is a group called as Docker, which will be created when you install Docker. To that we are adding our current user. Our current user is Ubuntu. Okay. If you don't do this, what will happen is, for this user, whenever you want to use Docker in this machine, you always have to be an root user. But if you do this, even this user has the capability of running Docker. Simple, right? Installation by the కష్టంగా ఉందా? No. And now you just say Docker. All right. Yeah. You have to log in and log out once you execute that command. Exit. and do the same command again. Are you getting it? Yeah. If you don't add that user login and log out, the server will not be accessible for you, because server is accessible to the only to the users who are part of Docker group. And by default, Ubuntu or the current user which you are installing from is not part of the Docker group, and you have executed a simple Linux command which does it. And even you don't need to know Linux for that. Once you finish the installation, Docker itself is telling, please execute this command. So you have done that. Docker is installed on your Linux machine. Right? Simple? Right. Now, yes. I'm coming back to exactly the same point. That is my next point of discussion. Right? Okay. So whenever you install Docker, you will be getting two stuffs. One is the server part of the Docker, and the other one is client part of the Docker. Right? Server is Docker engine that does all of the stuff. Client is a dumb guy. Whenever you ask anything, he will go to the server and he will say that he is asking me something. Can you please help me out? So whenever you say Docker, okay, for example, I will execute something called as PS. Okay, this is a client execution. You do this, immediately what would happen is this client will go and speak to the server component of Docker and give back you the information. All right. So whenever you install Docker, you will get two components. One is client component, the other one is server component. Client component is nothing but the command line which you are using, Docker. Right. Server is at the back end, you will have an API based service which is running, which this Docker command will go and speak with. All right. Now, let me go back to our Quality Thoughts blog and let me go ahead and discuss. No, no, yeah. In the installation method which we followed. But going forward, we can have multiple clients on multiple machines and one Docker server. Yes. Okay. Good. No, not this one. Where is it? I think I'm missing something over here. It's okay. This is something which we have used yesterday. Okay, whatever it is, I'll try to explain it anyway. So now I want to run something on this machine using Docker. Yesterday, if you remember, we have tried installing or executing Jenkins, right? Today, what I would try to do is I want to run Nginx on this machine. Okay. What is Nginx? Nginx is a web server which will help you in hosting websites. It can also act as a load balancer. That's a separate story. Okay. Nginx uses which port? It is a HTTP application, so it should use either 80 or 443. So the application which I want to use is 80 based. Now, basically, whenever I'm running this, can I install Nginx and Apache on the same machine? Both are web servers. Both require 80 port. Is it possible? Will they work both on same port? Then how do you do it? You change the configurations, right? So it is quite tricky for you to get both Apache and Nginx running on the same machine, right? But using containers, you can do that. Yep, the port conflict is still there. The port conflict is still there. Now, let me show you something. In this machine, do I have Java? Let us see. Do I have Java? Yes or no? It says that the Java can be found when you install this, which means that he is telling that now you don't have. All right. So now from the Docker, what I would do is I would try to run an application which requires Java. An application which requires Java. And after that application has been created, let us see if our machine will have Java installed or not. Yes, that is the first check. The first thing which I want to prove is prerequisites. Where will they be installed? So I want a Java based application, so obviously I will take Jenkins because we have seen about it yesterday. So for Jenkins to work, you need Java. Okay. If I want to install Jenkins on my machine, I have to install Java. But I'm not going that route. I am using Docker container for it. So I will go to a site called as Docker Hub. I'll tell you what this is. Okay. So let me click on this and search for something called as Jenkins. I get this, and like yesterday, I'll copy some command, I'll paste it. Right. I said you right yesterday, Amazon will be much faster than what we are seeing over here. So this laptop is 8 GB of RAM and it was taking a lot of time. Let's see how the execution is on 1 GB RAM of Linux machine on Amazon. Network is very fast, right? Yesterday it has taken ages for us. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Now, let me go to the EC2 machine. Okay, you will be seeing an IP address, public IP address. Copy that. Are you seeing something happening over here? Now let me investigate the machine. Let me investigate the machine. Okay. So what I do is I'd go to the connect. I'll go to the same machine which I have created. Okay. I am logging in as one user is already logged in. I am logging in as the same user. Right. We are running Jenkins on that machine. Okay. Which means that it requires Java. Without Java, Jenkins is not going to work. Now let me execute the same thing. Java hyphen version. This is on my machine. Is anything changed? Right? So what will happen is whenever you are creating containers, it doesn't mean that it is installing software on your system. Container is an isolated area for execution, right? So an isolated area is created and in that Java is present, not on your system. Remember that. So whenever you are executing anything, it doesn't mean that your system needs to have software. The only software which your system is supposed to have whenever you want to run containers are Docker. And if you remember, our system has Docker. We have installed Docker. I don't need any other softwares. None of them. Right? So now I am executing. What is this PS command? PS is process command. Right? Now I am just doing one more command. I am just saying Docker and PS. Docker and PS will tell what are the containers that are running. Is there anything running here? You are seeing information about one container, which means that there is one system which is running. Right? Now I want to have one more Jenkins. I want to have one more Jenkins. Is it possible? Let us see. So what was the command which we have used? I'll make slight changes. I'll come back to those changes at the later point, but yes, let us see whether it is possible or not. Where is Docker Hub? Yes. What has happened? Okay. Okay. I've used some 80. I've changed some 80 number to 80. Okay. Yes. Now that after this, I'm having two different Jenkins running on the same machine, which require Java, but on my system, Java is not present. Because what is happening is indirectly, whenever you are running containers, whenever you are running Docker, a container will be created. Any softwares or anything that your application is required is not on your system, it is in the container. Okay. And now let me kill this. Okay. Now you do Docker PS. This is container for you. And your Java is not present in your system. Your Java is present here. Your Java is present in this. All right. Yeah. Now let me run very basic command which all the Docker starts with, which is Docker run hello world. This is a very basic command. You are trying to tell that I want to run a container which is called as hello world. Let us see what happens. What is the first statement which you are seeing? Unable to find the image hello world colon latest locally. Then what it is trying to tell, pulling from the library slash hello world, and then it has executed something. What is this process? What is this process? Now let me elaborate on this. So basically, whenever you want to run the container, okay, you will be using a command called as run. Run is always start a new container. Run command ante enti? Always you are asking for starting a new container. If the container is already present, you don't use run. You will be using some other command. Okay. Now, whenever you do this Docker run, what would happen is the following steps happen. Docker run some name. Okay. The first thing which would happen is obviously request will be made to Docker server component. Now, what server will do is server will check in local repository for existence of image. Okay. Whenever you are running it for the first time, what would be the answer? మీరు ఇప్పుడే డాకర్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారు, డాకర్ రన్ అండ్ సంథింగ్ అన్నారు. సో వాట్ వుడ్ హ్యాపెన్ వెన్ యూ డూ ఇస్, ఇట్ విల్ ద లోకల్ రిపాజిటరీ విల్ బి ఎంప్టీ. సో యూ విల్ గెట్ an answer, no, I don't have it, I don't have it. Then what Docker will do is server, the Docker server component, okay, which is Docker engine, will go and speak with repository. Okay, and the default repository is Docker Hub. Default repository is Docker Hub, the same website which I have gone to basically see what is the Jenkins. Okay, and then what it does, downloads the image. Okay, once the image is downloaded, image is executed to form container. So in Docker, what is that will be in the repositories? Images will be there in the repository. Image is a file format, they are not in the executable format. So whenever you are asking Docker run Jenkins, Jenkins is the image. So this request will be made to the server, and server will check in the local repository if there is an image called as Jenkins already, right? So if there is an image, it will directly create a container. If there is no image, it will go to the repository. And what is the default repository? dockerhub.com, right? Now let us reiterate on the commands which you have tried again. Shall I try to use Docker run hello world again? Docker run hello world. I'm asking to run a container or start a new container which is called as hello world, and hello world is the name of the image, remember that, right? So first, this time are you seeing unable to find the image in the repository, downloading from the stuff? Are you seeing anything like that? No, because we have already downloaded hello world in the earlier case. So whenever you run Docker run hello world, now what will happen? The server will ask repository, do you have an image called as hello world? The answer would be yes, I have it. So then make it as a container, as simple as that. So now if I run Docker run something like nginx, okay, ipuda, okay, 5 minutes sir, yeah. So Docker run nginx, now what will happen? This client component will ask server, will go to the server, and now server will say do you have an image called as nginx in your local repository? The answer would be no, I don't have it, all right? And then what will happen? It will download from repository. What is the default repository? Docker Hub, right? So now let us try to write the commands for this. For the first command, you don't have any stuff. What is it? The second command, server will check in the local repository. So let me do this. Docker images is the command what server will execute. To simulate the second action, so in my local repository, I have two images. One is Jenkins, the other one is Hello World. Right? Now, the third command is server will go and speak with the repository if it is not present. Okay. And this is being done by a command which is called as docker pull. Docker pull is equivalent to your third step which you are seeing over there. So whenever you want an image, if you want to just download an image, I can go ahead and say docker pull nginx. So this will not run anything. This will download a image from your repository into your local file store. That's it. It will not run anything. It has just downloaded. Now you do docker images. You will have three. The third one operation which you are seeing is docker pull. And now the third and fourth, by the way. And then the image is executed. This is the run operation. Creating the memory to the container and executing that is basically actual operation. Actual operation. Now you tell me now. Now if I do docker run nginx, will it download? Why? Because my local image store already has an nginx stuff. So this is the basic cycle what happens. So whenever you are executing docker run command, first it will check whether the image is present in the local registry or not. If it is not present in the local registry, it will download from the repository, and the default repository is Docker Hub. Docker Hub, right? And now, before I wind up this class, let me go to the Docker Hub. And let me show you something, right? Very interesting. So for installing Jenkins application, or whenever you want to do any application investigation, for example, if your company says that, can you just try out whether Jenkins will work out for us or not? There is no need for you to install Jenkins. Install Docker, do Docker run command, you get Jenkins, play around with that, simulate your scenario. So you can use Docker for simulating some environments also. Not only the cases which I am trying to tell, right? Wow, boy. Come on, man. This is the last thing which I'm going to show, right? So I'll not take much of your time, but internet is not helping me out. Pricing is not required. We are using a free version. Everything is free. Pricing, EC2 pricing. Yeah, thanks. See on-demand pricing. Okay. Now T2 micro, right? Per hour it is the charge. Now you just do T2 micro, one hour's charge is 70 paise, right? మీరు 10 గంటలు పని చేసుకున్న టీ కూడా రాదు దాంతో. మన నీలగిరి బ్లాక్ లో 8 రూపాయలు టీ, right? So using a 10 hours of T2 micro is equivalent to that's the machines are cheap. But if you go with the machines which are with the highest stuff, then you might have prices. All right. For example, even you see this. Let me take this. So the machine of this caliber with 4 GB RAM, right, with 4 cores and 16 GB RAM is basically, you can use that machine for 1 hour for 13 rupees. So it's really not huge, right? If you are using for smaller times, but if you are using continuously, yeah, that makes a lot of bill, right? Last thing, man, I want to just click on this explore. Come on. Okay, if it is not working correctly, you can go to home and then you can look at different things over here. మ్యాన్ ఎప్పుడైతే తొందర ఉంటుందో అప్పుడే గమ్మున ఓపెన్, రైట్? సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యు ఆర్ సీయింగ్ మల్టిపుల్ అప్లికేషన్స్ ఓవర్ హియర్. Alpine is fine, but Nginx, HTTPD, Redis, so these are all the applications which where the Docker has been already containerized. So for example, if you want Redis server on your machine, there is no need to install it. Just go to that Redis image, see what is the run command, and run it on your machine. You are getting a Redis server on your system. That's how simple it is, right? So Docker is easier way to run applications locally on your system without installing anything on your system. So you can parallelly run 2 or 3 machines which are contradicting softwares. Nothing will happen. One on Java 6, one on Java 7, right? Nothing is going to happen because nothing is happening on your system. Everything is happening in the container, right? And you can easily clean your containers or remove your containers once you finish working on it. So this is an isolated way of executing applications. So do we have a better view from yesterday? Whatever we have, whenever we do Docker run, it will go and search in the local registry. What is the command equivalent to it? Docker images, right? We will be looking into those CLI options and we will be converting some applications into Docker images, So how do I write my Docker image? What are the command lines over here? This is where my class will start from. Yeah, for the people who have questions, and I think Ramana wants to speak with you guys, right? So please ask the same questions again on Monday and I'll be able to answer it. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow will not have a class, right? Because tomorrow is Ramzan and anyways on Sundays I'm not having classes anymore. So Monday I'll have it. Yeah, thanks a lot. But I'm sorry I couldn't take your questions today, but I'll definitely take it on Monday. On Monday I'll start my class with questions. All right? Just do remind me, I forget it a lot. Yeah. Mana questions, whatever questions you have asked, hold it on till Monday. I'll try to ask it. I'll try to answer them. All right. Thanks. Ramna will basically run you through.
Yeah. Okay, so just I have two updates from management side. Update one, we have a dedicated placement team. Last 1 week we got DevOps opportunity for Deloitte from 5 consultancies. They approached us, so we sent SMS to more than 1,000 DevOps students in Quality Thought, and surprisingly we got less than 10 profiles. So when you join the course, generally you ask for, do you provide placement assistance? Yes, we provide. We need resume. And second, we have direct tie-up with GSpan Technologies. Yesterday, GSpan Technologies HR called me. Ramna, can you provide DevOps working profiles, at least 10 profiles by today evening? So we have dedicated placement office. We are approaching different companies, and our primary focus is DevOps because we have more profiles and more students for DevOps. So the first update, I don't know the reason, but no, we are not getting response from the students. So you please send resume as early as possible. See, at least it may be experience, right? You may fail in that interview. It may be one interview experience to you. See, again, one more thing I am telling. If we send your profile to 10 companies, you may get 3 calls only. There is no rule that you may get 10 calls because your profile may not be suitable to that company. It might be different reasons. Don't expect call every time. But right now we have 2 openings, Deloitte and GSpan. Deloitte, our contact is through Deloitte vendors. So there are so many Deloitte vendors. So we are in touch with them, not directly with Deloitte, but GSpan we have the direct contact. So please send your resume by evening. Once again, we will send SMS to you. Yeah.
Shell scripting, Chef, and Docker. It will be good at these three. Okay. Shell scripting is definitely must and should because we have experiences with GSpan earlier.
Yeah. For
Everyone
GS,
will be good, decent on shell scripting as well.
yeah, for GSpan opening, Chef, Docker, and shell scripting with Linux knowledge. Right.
So
So
for the people who are not receiving just ask them to speak with Satish and get it correct.
Yeah. See, if you are not receiving messages, please speak with your admin. Your admin is Satish. So please contact Satish and you ask the same question to Satish. The next time you will get, no. So again, that is also different reasons. You might activate DND in your mobile, or you may have changed your number, but may not be updated in quality thought. Multiple things are there. This is the first update. Second update, as part of DevOps course, we are providing multiple value addition services. Number one, so we are giving, Linux shell scripting classes every month. We are conducting Linux shell scripting batch monthly once. Agile, Scrum Framework, Jira classes monthly once, Python scripting classes monthly once. These three classes we are conducting every month as part of this training. And even we from last month onwards, we started conducting HR training also, because we observed, out of 100 students, 50% of the students are joining quality thought to get, with more real time experience, so that they will get job with, they will try to get first job with 3 plus 4 plus like that. So we conducted HR module training also. So we hired a HR. He is going to train you on how to send emails, how to attend HR interview. So total 4 value addition services to you: Linux shell scripting, Python scripting, Agile with Jira, and HR interview, training. So these are the 4 value additional services apart from 90 days DevOps course which you are attending. So please, yeah, that's what HR module. It's kind of a spoken English. It cover.
English
Spo
అలాగే అద్భుతంగా ఉన్నాడు, spoken English ఏనో.
so
Speaking professional and చేసినట్టు రావట్లేదు.
so that is the.
I'll tell you one thing for English, why is it required? We have many people here who are technically very good, but their interviews go because they speak Telugu as English, right? Did you have what? How do you say that? Tinnava antam. Breakfast, that is an equivalent English. So please don't use that. So ఇలాంటివి ఉన్నాయి చిన్న చిన్న ప్రాబ్లమ్స్. This is not a very major problem. అంటే మేము కూడా పుట్టినప్పుడు నువ్వు ఇంగ్లీష్ మాట్లాడడం ఏం కాదు. So we used to never speak even a word in English in college. But once the situations come into play, you will obviously speak. Since you are in Hyderabad, you speak only with Telugu, you are having these issues. For example, the best example is Bhaskar. Right? He's very good. Technically, he's very good. Okay? But the problem is communication is bad. So I'll avoid Sigma as also knowledge, but right? If I'm bad at something, then I should not be feeling anything wrong about it. Please get it corrected. Right? So that is something which is important. Some of our students are failing on that communication. Right? Communication is important. Not a communication to adbhutanga telapatlu esukoni em avasam. But at least try to communicate, try to explain it to the other person what is that you are thinking about. Ask skills కొంతమందికి lying ఉన్నాయి. Please go and join the classes which you are having. Don't think that only technical might solve your problem. Right? For especially in service-based industries, because you need to speak with customers a lot. Right? Then they expect you to have a minimum commitment. అది కూడా లేవు కొంతమంది అందుకని.
Okay, so these are the 2 updates. Shiva, so I will discuss with admin on this, why you have not received. Okay, so just wait. I think you joined, I mean, from last 20 days, there is a chance that we have not conducted. We started 20 days before. See, the objective is monthly once we conduct. That depends upon your entry point. For example, we have different entry points to DevOps. So based on your entry point, now I am teaching Agile, but already it is in middle of the training. So next Agile batch you are allowed. Right? So already Python scripting 20 days back we completed. Next 1 week or after 1 week we'll start. So you will receive all communication on placements and special classes. The problem I observed, for example, I am the faculty for Agile. Last month, I mean few weeks back, 3 weeks back, I started Agile on weekends. My main intention of teaching Agile is for DevOps students, because so Agile and DevOps are related, when compared to other courses. But unfortunately, most of the DevOps students are not attending. And one thing I want to clarify, any free training or value addition training which we are conducting on weekends, we are not going to send recording videos for that. See, it has to be live session. You know what? So if you want recording video, why we are conducting live session? We have already recording videos. We will send now. Is it okay? Is it okay? See, 100 DevOps students, classroom training, 100 online training. Out of two, see, basically I'm conducting Agile for you. But out of 200, 20 people are coming. And again, they're asking us when you conduct next Agile. You know, Agile is 15 hours training. Python scripting, 20 hours training. Linux and shell scripting, 10, 12 hours training. So if you want recording videos for free classes, we have already recorded for 50 batches till now. We'll send those recording video, we'll tell free class is conducted over. So don't be too smart if it comes to training. Okay, you are the student and you are here for learning. You might be working, you might be having highest packages in your company, you are superstar, you are, you know, so many things, but you are student. Please, so follow up with your admin. Okay, so attend, see, and one more advantage of coming to quality thought, till you get perfection, you are allowed to attend multiple batches if you are classroom. For online, anyway, we are sending video. So two updates, to provide these two updates, I'm here. We are actively working on DevOps placements. Trust me, you give your resume. If you have at least average skills, I can refer you to at least 3 companies. Now we have that confidence. And I am closely monitoring the team. I am working on the team actually. I am the lead for placements and special classes. Please attend special classes because now students are telling Ramna GSpan opening, I am ready. I know Chef and Docker, but no, when you start next shell scripting batch, do you think they wait for you? Right? So only thing, over smart. We cover 360 degrees DevOps training with Agile, with Python, you know, with complete DevOps, all the tools with use cases. So if you really practice well, at least average practice also in coming 90 days, you are going to be, you know, get better package. That is for sure. So
And for any people who are not getting links, please speak with Satish. And the openings which we have, I think there was one person saying that I am in Bangalore, am I eligible for this opening? There is nothing, no location-based restrictions. You will be getting a call from the organization, from the company, not from us. We are here just to forward it. It is not a commercial act. We do it for free. Even the companies are basically telling the same thing. Why are you doing it for free? So we said we want our students to be. We want basically a huge community on DevOps. That's it. We are not looking at any financials around it, right? So please use this. And other thing is agile మనకు అవసరం లేదనుకుంటా కదా, మనకి అన్ని ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్ళి ఆ చెప్పిన తర్వాత తెలుస్తుంది. ఆ తర్వాత వెంటనే సార్ క్లాస్ ఉండదు, రైట్? అక్కడ వరకు వెళ్ళకండి. డోంట్ బి రియాక్టివ్, బి ప్రొయాక్టివ్, రైట్? ఫైన్. సో దట్స్
yeah. So Shiva, see, if you want to contact me, you know, so please raise your questions to DevOps mail ID which has given. So if anything related my intervention, I will try to speak with you. Okay. So see, please get in touch with DevOps lab assistant and DevOps mail ID. So we both, myself and Kaza, discuss closely on all the issues. Thank you.
ఆల్రెడీ అసలు పెట్టించారు 2000 మందికి పెట్టించారు 2000 మందికి పెట్టించారు 2000 మెంబర్స్ పెట్టించారు మన వాళ్ళు